And welcome back to the show, everyone. My name is Brian Elam. I will be your host here on this Be Successful episode. And today we've got a very special guest here to elevate you, inspire you, make you be a better leader, a better human. And this guy has tons of years of experience at doing this. And I have a feeling it just flows through him naturally. So we are very excited to have Steve Roma here with us today. Steve, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, you bet. I'm excited. It does flow through me. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, I have this thing, it's downloads, information that I get. So when I connect with people, I pick up on things. So I definitely got that from you. Um, so you're all about networking, how to leverage networks, how to grow your network, how to be a valuable person inside of your own network and other people's. So my audience basically is entrepreneurs that are at the beginning or the middle of their journey. So I know this is a good conversation that we're about to have on this topic. And so kind of give me the points, like the bullet points about how to grow your network and how important it is for business development.
That's a great question. And I'm glad you work with entrepreneurs. I do as well, especially coaches. They're coming in the space usually from an 8 to 5 or another position. And hey, I need to coach. I actually was coaching a guy this morning in a meeting. But, one of the big things is with networking is we're in a people asset business. No matter what you do, you need people to grow, to make money. You need income, whatever it may be. Why not take that asset and make it valuable to you? And that's building relationships. So one thing an entrepreneur, so whoever you're, even a large business with thousands of employees, bring value to your conversation, every conversation you have, whether you know the person, you don't. It's a game changer when it comes to building that relationship because they'll never forget you.
100%. What's the saying? People don't remember you for what you did for them. They remember you for how you made them feel.
Exactly. And I tell people, and I call my podcast Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. It's all about serving or bringing value. If serving's not a word. Nobody is every person I've served or brought value to. They didn't go, oh my God, Steve's an a-hole or Steve's an idiot, or it's always, and I tell people, you bring value, it might be 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 months that you affect them. But even that 5 second effect could be long lasting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You never know who's watching, you never know who's listening or what they're listening for. We all have this reticular activating system that is there to solve the problems, to find the solutions that we're looking for. And you just never know what your audience is going to key into about what you have to offer, what you have to say. That could really, like you said, make the shift, make that start.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had, just last week, I got a LinkedIn message from somebody I haven't talked to in 6 months. Hey, I want to introduce you to so-and-so. I think you'd be a great fit. I think you could help him. 6 months later, I want the audience to think about, and especially entrepreneurs, you get these referrals every 2 to 3 to 5, 6 months. That's where you keep growing. Some people grow really fast, and in 6 months, they start dipping because they stop gathering and hunting, I call, gathering that people asset, finding the good ones and staying connected with them and bringing them value, of course.
Yeah. There is so much to touch on right there in what you just said. But first start out with how to start developing your network. Is that obviously if you're at the beginning of your business journey or even in the middle, growing that network is going to be important. Your network is your net worth. I definitely believe that. So
Yeah.
how can we start taking steps to grow our networks?
Audience, I'm going to tell you right now, Brian's a great host. I've been on 50, 60 shows last year. Those are great questions because it is the stepping stone for anybody to grow their business. We don't jump into business and go, hey, I just want to hang out with Brian Elam. No, we want to make money. We got family, we got expenses and all that. So our goal is to make money, but bring value. First tip is, and I'll give you a quick story. I'm part owner of a digital business card company. And when I got asked to be a sales guy in January of 2020, right before COVID, interesting enough, and I went out and somebody had told me about this virtual networking group. They have 30, 40 meetings a week. It's free. I said, that's free. It's for me. And I jumped on. I did 15 to 20 shows or meetings a week. By the end of 2.5 months, I met 500 new people. I became the top sales guy in our company because those people bring referrals to other people. Here's $1 million tip, and I've had people make $1 million just doing this. Meet 10 to 15 new people a week. That's your goal, especially starting out or you're just beginning. That's 40 people a month. Let's just use the 10. Well, of those 40, we use a 20% rule. 8 are going to give you referrals, and they might give you 5 to 10 referrals. So now that's 40. So now you're over 100 people you've met. Now, the goal here is not every 100 people are going to be your client. Get that out of your mindset. That's not what you're thinking. You're building relationships to get in their network to where you can help solve their pain points, their problems. It's easy to do. You've got to be an extrovert. But if you're an introvert, here's another big tip. Ask questions. If you're shy, you meet Brian Elam. Brian, how long have you been podcasting?
I've been doing this since 2020.
Look at, so he's been doing it for you. Wow, how's it going for you? And we could go on and on with questions. I call it the cocktail party, which is old school. I'm 62, so I remember my parents having that. I walk around those parties, and that's what people are, hey, nice to meet you, Tony. What do you do? Hey, I do this. What do you do? And now you get into that conversation where you build a relationship, whether it's to continue that relationship or maybe it doesn't work. And a servant heart does that. You definitely want to say no people that might be takers or not a fit in your network. Still try to bring them value. If you can, you're not always going to be able to do it. But if you can, but don't burn that relationship. Because again, you never know who they know.
Right. And I think a good way to not burn that relationship is to not promise anything. You know, like if you meet somebody, I had somebody message me on LinkedIn a couple days ago, and really nice guy. And he wanted to connect, saw me inside of one of his other groups that we both belong to. And the first thing that he did was ask me, who do you want to connect with? Or who is your ideal client, and how, so I know how to present you to my network. That is exactly what we're talking about here, people, leading with value. And I responded to him, that is so gracious of you. This is who I'm looking to connect with, my ideal clients. And I would love to know the same for you. And if I have those people in my network, I will reach out to them and connect you. I didn't say I promise. I didn't say I will blast you out to everybody and the moon and the stars. I said, if there's somebody there, I'll connect you, just because of the value that that man provided right as soon as we met.
Fantastic story. Brian, we're a lot alike. And that is, if you want to think of an ROI, which you shouldn't when you're serving, bringing value, because you don't know how, why, or where it's going to happen, where it's going to come from. But I believe in the universe, ether, faith, whatever you want to call it. When you put out good, good does come back. And your story proves your ROI is a lot higher. Because guess what? You've built these wonderful relationships. Because somebody probably put in their ear, hey, you need to meet Brian. Man, he's a great guy. He's a connector, whatever words they use. Now you're becoming that Amazon of connectors, or Amazon never has a problem with money because I just used it this morning. You become the Amazon of connecting, of networking. And I get 3 to 10 referrals a day. And I'm not saying that to boost me up. I'm just saying it works. I'm nothing special, but why I'm special is I took action. And I abhor everybody on this show listening. Take action that me and Brian are bringing here. Doesn't cost you any money to network, or very little if you want to get into pay for a group. But the cost is minimal. But the ROI, I've seen people grow 10 times just by building a network.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, again, there's just so many different ways we can go with this, but I want to kind of go back to the beginning for just a second, because as I was reading through the material that you sent me, you mentioned working in your or our health club. Now, I don't know if that was your health club or your parents' health club, but you mentioned being of service inside of that business, and that kind of helped you understand the power of networking and how to do it. So can you kind of walk me through that a little bit so I can understand the origins of Steve?
Thank you for bringing it up because it's a powerful message that people can learn that I learned early that now you can take it and run with it. As my dad always said, don't recreate the wheel. If somebody's done it, just follow it, do it, whatever it may be, if it's successful. So at 18, finished high school, was going to go into JC, play football, all that. But, you know, it was summertime and my family launched a health club here in San Jose, California. And my cousin taught me, Jeff Ramona, who was the president of the company, all about customer service. We're going to take care of every member that walks in the door. And so I started running the staff, and I would ask, hey, Jeff, I don't remember who's walked in the door. We had thousands of people come in a day. He said, just look at the computer screen when they slide their card. And if you've been in a membership or anybody, you know, you slide your card, but up pops up your whole profile. So just sneak over at the screen, go, hey, Brian, have a great workout, man. Good to see you. And as you meet more and more people and build relationships, you remember names. But that little tactic, even if you don't remember somebody's name, looking it up, pulling up their LinkedIn when you're in a Zoom, whatever it may be, just builds that relationship. And then what I learned, Brian, was a powerful lesson. Here I'm 18, a snot-nosed kid out of high school, thought I knew it all. 30, 40, 50-year-olds of highly successful guys are coming in. I'm seeing 3 or 4 times a week. Well, they start bringing me into their network. Hey, let's go to lunch. And one story is so powerful. Tony came in, he was a financial advisor. He says, hey, kid, he says, I got this book for you to read. He hands it to me. It's a little 60-page book called The Wealthy Barber, talking about a barber, how he became a millionaire being a barber. And what it said was, take 10% of your income, which works today, and put it away somewhere. Don't look at it. Don't touch it. So the next week he came in and asked me if I got the book and read it. I said, yeah, you said, you know, basically take 10%. He said, yeah, start doing that today. Now, keep in mind, audience, this is 1979, 80. So minimum wage is probably $4 or $5. 12 years later, I looked at that account because I didn't look at it. I mean, I would peek and go, oh, it's growing. That's cool. I had $60,000 in that account.
Nice.
It was like I won the lottery. Today, 60,000 is still 60,000, but not as worth it was then. But what I learned was when I called Tony, because I still had his number, and I said, Tony, I want to thank you. Let me send you $1,000. You gave me a tip. That was your business. That's the servant's heart. He said, no, Steve, because you made me much more than that. I said, how did I do that, Tony? Because you took my advice, took my gift, you gave it out to somebody else. I'm sure I got a great client from it. I don't know how, when, or where, like I said before, but you blessed me and I blessed you, and it's a win-win. I learned, wow, I'm going to start bringing value to people. But what I learned is make sure you ask for the gift back. I didn't do that for a long time. And I just learned this 8, 9 months ago with a guy that made $100 million serving. I'm like, holy crap, how'd you do it? He goes, I received. So what do you mean? He goes, every time I would serve somebody, they come back, how can I help you? Well, I need this for my business. And they'd give it to me or give me a discount or find the right person for me. It's got to be an infinity loop. If everybody knows what that looks like, it's that loop that goes up and around. As you give, make sure you ask and receive. Because I used to do this, Brian. I go, hey, Brian, here's 5 referrals. You'd go naturally. Man, that's great, Steve. How can I help you? Put my hand up like this. Oh, Brian, I'm good, which I should never do. Never do this because you're stopping people and it makes your screen change.
Ah, I see that.
The old Zoom got us. And I went, holy mackerel. From that day, I've made more money last year than I have ever. This year is going to be the biggest year ever. And all I did was receive gifts, which we all want to. But remember, I gave gifts too.
Yeah. And that is such a hard thing to grasp and get your head around. And I know it was for me, just the ability to ask for anything, to ask for help, ask for what I wanted. It's so tough. So it is definitely important. But how did you develop the wherewithal, the gumption, however you want to put it, to take that step and be like, you know what? I'm going to ask for something. I'm worthy of receiving something from this person I just gave value to.
Well, listening to this guy making 100 million, I'm like, if I got that kind of abundance, how many more people I can help than I'm helping today? It just took me over the edge. It's like, and what he said too was, and I've heard from very wealthy people, successful people, was you're going to ask. What's the worst thing they say is no. Nobody said you're not going to get mad at me. Go, hey Brian, I'm looking for guests for my show that make 100 million a year. You're not going to go, oh, what an idiot. God, he's asking. That just doesn't happen in that conversation. So why not? Now, if you go and go, if I went, Brian, please give me all your multi-million-dollar earners. I want them on my show. Just send me a list. That's taking. That's not the way to do it. Asking with gracious. You said graciously, which is a beautiful word. That should be in your mindset when you're serving and bringing value. Be graceful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The more tactful you are, the more kind that you are to people.
Yeah.
It's just going to serve you and them. It creates, like you were saying, that infinity loop. It just blesses us everybody.
Win, win, win. The Godfather, if you've ever watched the movie The Godfather, offer I can't refuse. Well, this is offers that you can win, win, win.
Very nice. Very nice. And one of the things you also talk about is leadership and how important leadership is. So, obviously, if you're going to start a business and be an entrepreneur, you are in a leadership position, especially if you're going to have employees or contractors, anything. Well, you've got to lead your community too. Your Facebook page or what have you. You've got to lead that to position yourself as an entrepreneur and somebody that knows what they're doing. So, how how do you start developing those leadership skills to put yourself and your business out there and be seen as the expert that obviously everybody wants to be seen as?
Again, fantastic question. You're on a roll here, Brian. You're rolling these great questions out because this is the whole key. If you're a leader, you're going to be have more abundance, money, people, whatever. You're going to have abundance. The first thing I teach everybody is shut up and listen. A lot of people, I'm glad I knew you would. We're friends with Jackson Callamer. He did the same thing when I said it. Because
Awesome.
if you go to a networking meeting and we've all been to them and there's 20 people there, there's that one person, if you're on video, if you're not looking, they're looking away or their screen is black. Yeah, they're shut up, they're on mute, but are they really listening? And a question might go out, yeah, my question might go out like, how old are you? And I'm not listening. Go, oh, I was born, I might say, they say, how old are you? I go, well, I'm a podcast host. Obviously, I was not listening. So you have to bridge that gap as a leader because mentors will shut up and listen. And then you get to learn. And the power of that is every time I meet somebody, and this morning's a perfect example, guy's going on talking about, his coaching business and starting it and is listening to it. I could tell he's passionate, but he's challenged. And I gave him 3 tips within 5 minutes. He's like, oh my God, I'm blessed. He thought I was, second coming with Jesus Christ. I'm not saying he thought that, but what I get off that call, it just energizes you. I didn't charge him. I didn't even think about that. I just wanted to help him. It's missing in this world these days. We need to help each other more.
Yeah, that's one of the huge blessings that I've found from this world of podcasting is just the reciprocity that exists once you give someone a platform and listen to them, like I am to you, like our audience is to you right now. That reciprocity, it just comes right back almost immediately. I've gotten things from like free sessions, free workout advice, all from these experts. And I didn't ask for those things, but I sure as heck raised my hand and received them because there was that value exchange. Yeah, it's so amazing.
Oh, my wife laughs. I get books in the mail. I just got chocolate this week, a box of chocolates. And I can speak for you because I think I know you now. We don't do that for this. We don't podcast for those gifts. They're the cherry on the cake. The cake's good without the cherry. They just put a little cherry on it to thank you. Well, obviously, I've built a relationship with Mark, who sent the chocolate. I'm going to follow up and see how we can help each other down the road. You get 100 people doing that for you, you will not have a problem with money.
Amen. Amen to that. 100%. So speaking of podcasting and what we're here doing right now, you also make note of how to use a podcast to help grow your business and position it. But you use the word right when you described it. How to use your podcast right to grow your business. So super curious, what do you mean by right?
Man, you're good. You're really good. I love it because a lot of people. I've never been asked that question, to be honest, and it's a great question because podcasting is known for all these years as get a sponsor. They're going to pay you, pay for your all this, the software, everything you need, and you need downloads for that, or you need subscribers on YouTube. That's not important to me. Now I have 9,811 subscribers on YouTube. It's great, but from my servant's heart, that blesses my guests. That's 9,800 people could see one of the shows and go, I want to talk to Tim Wright. He does this. And I've had people do that, which is so powerful. But the best way to do a podcast is network. And here's what it is. I used to run 6 virtual networking groups, and I've stopped. Loved them, did one for 10 years. That one I still do, but the other ones I did for 3 or 5 years. So I've been involved with virtual networking because of my network and things, which was great. I learned a lot. But with my network, like we're doing today, audience, think about when you do a one-on-one meeting. It's just you, me, and Brian. We're talking, getting to know each other. But now 9,800 people have a chance to hear it. Not just each other, which is not, I'm not saying not to do that, but the podcast just fires it up to another level. So what I do is the first 10 minutes, get to know, we did that. You were great. Got to know each other, figure out what we're going to talk about. We do a great show. In the last 20, 30 minutes, I've learned about their desires, their passions, their challenges, their pain points. Then I can go, what a great show. Energy's high. We've had fun. And I go, Brian, here's 3 people I want you to meet. They'd be great guests on your show. Then what happens? Oh, Steve, thank you. That's fantastic. How can I help you? I never pitched you. I just leveraged the energy of our networks. For example, a billionaire, well, I probably wasn't a billion, probably worth $500 million, called me out of the blue. I have no idea. He saw one of my podcasts. Said, I want to work with you. Never happened in my 60 years. Doesn't happen a lot, but that's the power of this. The other power is my network. If anybody knows Lee Steinberg is Patrick Mahomes' agent, which is the hotkeys in the Super Bowl against my 49ers. Go Niners. He's been, with I can't think of his name right now. Troy Aikman does the Fox News and very top end professional athletes. Well, he reached out to me to thank me for something. I said, Lee, I'd love to have you on the show. He said, absolutely. Out of the blue. Guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He knows celebrities. The Jerry Maguire movie was somewhat written from his life story. We all know, hey, show me the money. Here's the power of podcasting. Lee Steinberg would never have met me, and I would never have the opportunity to get in his network without the podcast. He's not going to buy my digital business card. He's not going to want to get into my network, but he would want to talk about himself and what he's doing today.
Right. Exactly. And that's the power of it, leveraging not only your network, but other people's networks as well. Because just like we were talking before, you never know who's listening. Could be a millionaire, a billionaire. You never know. Podcasting, it branches out to all genres, all types of people. I don't remember the statistics right now, but I think it's something like over 100,000 people every single year listen to a podcast on the regular.
A large number.
Yeah. Like that's the power of it, folks. So if you're
and I want to add, no, I apologize, but here's the other thing. I talked because a lot of people come to me about helping with their podcast, and I do a coaching program for that. But there's 4 million podcasts, 3.5. I don't know how, it's millions. And people come to me and go, why would I do a podcast? There's millions out there. Then I go, there's 10,000 virtual networking groups. Why are you doing a networking group? Because you want to meet people to build relationships. I don't care about the Joe Rogan, Lewis House, Joe Smith's podcast down the road. It's my podcast. I have control of building my network to pick and choose, like you do, Brian, who I want to connect with. Somebody that did something illegal and is praising about it, I would never have him on my show. That's not a servant's heart. But I had on my show R.J. Johnson, who committed adultery as a teacher with a 16-year-old, but found God and turned his life around, got out of prison. Now he's helping prisoners. So I'm in control of that. And that's the kind of stuff that's exciting because I want to get his message out because I'm fired up about what he's doing and the different things that he's accomplished and other people like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Those kind of transformational stories,
Yeah.
that's where the power is. That's
Yeah.
where the emotion is, all the life lessons, everything. It just right in there.
3 words: motivation, inspiration, education. You hit 3 of those, it's a grand slam. If you're a baseball fan, that's the best home run you can do. If you're not a baseball fan, that's what it means. If you get one of the two, you've got a home run. It's still a good show, great show, but an A+ show is, getting an email message from a lady that his son was a 16-year-old is a 16-year-old paraplegic and had paraplegic on my show where he helped a business grow massively from his wheelchair and said that and kind of showed the camera like, here, I'm in a wheelchair, but I'm happy. She said, you just inspired my son to be able to do something. If that's all that ever happened, I know, right? It is. I'm getting chills right now. And we all have the power to do that. Not just me and you. We're really good at this. You can be good at it too, because I was not good at it when I started. We all, so when you start a business and do something,
We
we're
all
all starting
suck.
from zero. Yeah. Just how far you take it and stay continuous and stick to it and be consistent.
Yep. That is so important. Consistency.
Yeah.
And also, and I've found also the belief in not only yourself, but the belief in what you are putting out into the world. I have found to be almost as important as not giving up, is that belief in what you're doing, that it can have a positive impact. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Your passion for what you do. I have a passion for servant's art. I live it every day. You have a passion to help successful people. If you don't have it, I probably wouldn't do a podcast because now you're just becoming I don't want to say taker, but it just doesn't have that deep rooted of getting the books in the mail. People, I get like yesterday, I had 5 referrals. Hey, these people need to be on your show as guests. I get that every other day. How powerful is that? And that is the people asset uh, benefit of a podcast or a TV show where you're interviewing people. If you just did a live YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever, that's the same thing. Anywhere where you can get somebody, we say, an interview. We used to kind of pigeonhole podcast, and some people weren't comfortable with it. And everybody doesn't need to do a podcast. Just do it. Do a workshop. Bring in Brian to speak at your workshop for 10 minutes about being successful. And then build an offer out of that and build your network that way. That's like a podcast. It's just a different form of it. It's not called a podcast.
Right. Right. You're still leveraging another person's audience. You're still speaking and giving value. And just like you were saying before, if you wanted to do a Facebook or a LinkedIn live or whatever, and have that be an interview, yeah, it's not a quote unquote podcast, but you're still giving that person a chance to be heard, to be listened to. And that is, again, it's so powerful. It can be so cathartic if they have
Oh,
something that, a story that's powerful that they need to share, or something they need to work through, or the audience has something that they need to work through that the story can relate to. I mean, it's just, the power of conversation is just incredible.
an audience, you're going to see, and you hear from Brian, and maybe from me, I hope you do, is we become thought leaders or slash experts. Once you're seen as that, whatever way you do it, even workshop does that. I train people, mentor people all the time to do that. Now you have the ability to influence. We're using that a lot with social media nowadays for the last 8 to 10 years. Now you have influence to, guess what? Bring abundance to more people. That should be your mindset. The money will come. Don't sit, in front of your computer screen like, oh my God, I got to rent to pay. And I've got answers to that. We won't get into that now, but yeah, just keep moving forward and bringing value, bringing positive energy to people. Uplift their life.
Yep, we need a lot more of it these days.
Oh,
Absolutely.
amen.
So we kind of got off on a rabbit hole there. I want to go all the way back to leadership we were talking about, because you had mentioned that listening is so important to leadership and developing yourself as a leader. So that is obviously the most important skill. I agree. Now, what would you say the second most important skill or attribute to have to develop yourself as a leader would be?
And I had a great guest that taught me a great lesson. I knew it, but I understand. Lieutenant Oakland McCullough, a wonderful man, become a good friend, a friend of mine. He said, and this is what I truly believe, he'll walk up to somebody and go, Brian, somebody will walk up to him, excuse me, because he teaches leadership. They go, hey, I'm a leader. His only question he asked, who are you mentoring today? If they say no, then you're not a leader. Nothing wrong with that, but leaders need to be mentoring. Now you can lead yourself and people talk about that. And I think that's great. But I mentored that guy this morning. Now, is he going to hire me? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not worried about that, but always mentoring, bringing value and goodwill. Here's the other thing about a servant's heart. You need to take the takers out of your circle. A true leader, and especially a servant leader, is not going to have the people that are sucking energy from you. I used to work with this guy every month for a year. He never followed up with anything I did. And he kept complaining he's not making any money. But I had that servant heart like, hey, I need to help him. Well, I realized I'm going to cut him off because it's only going to serve him and serve me. He's not getting anything out of it, and I'm not helping him.
I went through
That's
that
always forgotten.
exact.
Yeah.
I
So
went through
you,
that exact scenario once before. But to this person's credit, they had the insight to see themselves that's what was going on. And so before I had the opportunity to reach out and be like, hey, this is not working, we're not getting the assignments done, nothing's happening. Before I had the chance to do that, he reached out to me and said, we need to stop because I'm not
oh,
getting where. So yeah.
that's a great story. Thanks for sharing, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting working with different people and how they
Yeah.
operate. Yeah. And talking again more about leadership, you mentioned something in the package that you sent me about it's not only important to be a leader in a company, but it's also important to be a leader in community as well. And I was wondering, do you mean like it's important for a leader from a corporation to also be a leader in the community as well?
Yeah. Anywhere where you're asked to lead or be a thought leader or be that upper level person, you need a church. I'm big into my church. Things happen in my life, and I just dove right in. I serve coffee. I disciple. I help. I'm there leading, helping the members of the church, helping them, the pastor leaders, do things like volunteer my time. That's leadership. Because guess what? I get to help out in the San Jose area, help build stuff, but I'm leading that way. Yeah, sometimes people they lead at work, they get home, they don't become a leader. You need to be a leader at the house. You need to listen to your wife if you're married, partner, whatever scenario you have in the house, roommates. Be a leader, shut up and listen, mentor them, help them, be there with them, be positive. Life's not always perfect. I know we're fallible and we get mad, and I'm Italian, so I know all about that, and an ex-athlete and all that great stuff and very competitive, but leadership needs to come everywhere. You need to almost practice it daily.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You can't master anything if you're not actively working on it.
Yeah.
I've been a martial artist for many, many years of my life, and you don't get to the level I am because you just practiced like once a week or every Friday and Saturday or something like that. No, it's consistency, like we were talking before. It's consistency and it's staying with it and having that mentor or that sifu to guide you down the path. But yeah, you've got to stay with it.
Yeah. And I love that. I always wish I got into martial arts. So I'm very envious because that's true leadership, because discipline is part of leadership. If you're a leader and you're a podcast host like us and we're swearing and doing crazy stuff, not that it's bad, but we want to be what we're teaching other people. Like you teaching success, you want to teach. You're a leader in a company. If you're out yelling at your screen, there I go again, my Italian hands, you're screaming and yelling at your employees. It's not leadership. That's dictatorship. To me, that doesn't, I mean, it works short time.
Yeah.
That's short-term money. Long-term money is leadership, meaning you're going to get money longer. You may, people go out and take, or pitch slap is a word I hear a lot, pitch slapping. That's short-term money. I'd rather have long-term money where I'm building relationships with you, Brian. This is what we're doing right now. Who knows what's going to happen 6 months from now? Maybe we build our own business together. Maybe we don't. How powerful is that? That opportunity being out there, it's exciting.
It is exciting. That's why, again, that's why I love doing these shows and meeting people that are at the level that you're at, because like you said, you never know what's going to come of it. I don't come into this with any kind of expectation, and I know you don't either,
Yep.
but it's just the excitement of the possibility.
Oh, that's big.
And there it is yet again, another way to be a leader and have that incorporated into your life is to have that servant's heart, like you say, but not come at it as an expectation of, I'm going to get something back from it. Just hold that space, hold that excitement and the possibility within you and the excitement to serve someone, and your entire world will change. Now, it might not be in the American instant mindset of your world changing in the snap of a finger, but it's going to change.
Yeah. Microwave world. We want things in 30 seconds instead of 30 minutes. And it's like, and we all get caught up in that. Again, I keep going to fallible. I've read through the Bible. It just, God tells us we're going to make mistakes, but what do you do with those mistakes?
Yeah.
Here's another tip that came to me. You're getting my head spinning. I love this. Entrepreneurs that are listening to Brian's show, to your show, is never, ever be indecisive. I know it's hard when you're starting out, but if you make the wrong decision, you can always come back from it. You walk through an opportunity door. If it's not a fit, like your story you told about this person that said it's not a fit, you just walk right back out the door and you're going to find somebody else that you're going to walk a door in. That is such a great feeling, because to me, indecisiveness it loses you a lot of money, a lot of capital, people capital. Hey, I need you to make a decision. Oh, let me get back to you. I need to make it. Well, you're just eroding that people capital, that asset again that we started with. You don't want to erode that people asset. And we know people have done that, or I know people have done that were at the top of their game and they're just like, I'm super rich, screw all you. And people start walking away. And 2 stories of guys on my show became homeless. An NFL player, he did that, drugs, alcohol, became bigger than he was. He was homeless. The NFL had to pay his mortgage for 3 months, and then he lost the house. For a year, he was homeless. Now he's one of the top speakers in the world. It's
it never would have happened if he didn't hit that low.
Amen. You got it.
Yep. Oh, so good. So good. I want to touch on one more thing, because this is just flying by and we're getting low on time, but I definitely want to talk about the mastermind that you conduct, because this, from what I've read, is high level stuff with very influential people inside of that network. So if you can talk about that a little bit, maybe who it's the right fit for. I mean, if you're even accepting people in right now.
We are. No, definitely. And I want to shout out to Josh Tapp. Again, he's one who set me in my podcast. And a real quick story. He reached out and said, Steve, I'd love to partner with you and do these masterminds. Well, he's at a higher level, success-wise, money-wise, but he saw the power of my network. And I said, absolutely. Well, I talked to him a week later and he goes, I was surprised you said yes. That's the power of building relationships, doing what people ask us to do and follow through. So the mastermind, and that's what he asked me to, we do other things together as well, other partnerships. But a lot of networking groups, a lot of people talk business, hey, I do this. And that's great to learn somebody. In these masterminds, we do business. We meet in person, we have in-person meetings, and we also do virtually once a week. And we do a thing called a hot seat, where one of these multimillionaires are super successful in their business, they want to change the world. They need other people's networks to do that. So they'll talk about what they do real quick and give us personas or buckets of people they're looking for. And then during that, there's referrals popping. Like one guy's going to refer me, Donald Miller, to my podcast, who wrote the story brand. We haven't done it yet, but he said, that would be a game changer for my podcast and for me to get in his network. So we say we do business with thought leaders and experts who want to change the world. And some of our members are doing that, building offers together, building workshops together, building events together, and bringing everybody's network. We all bring our networks in, and these are high profile networks to be able to grow and help others. That's the key. We're there to help others, but to do business. I keep going back. We're doing business, not talking it.
That's a very important distinction.
Yeah.
There's this word mastermind gets thrown around a lot lately in the coaching space and in the business world. And it seems almost like a nebulous topic. Like, what does that mean? It's like we all sit around on a sofa and just shoot the breeze for a while. Is like, what are we doing here? Or is it just because we're all like millionaires in business, we get to call it a mastermind? Like, what are we, how do you find this? But I like the fact that you defined it by we're just not talking business, we're doing business, and that these people are actually listening and going through their digital or mental Rolodex and be like, you know what? He needs so and so, and I'm going to chat him right now. And yeah, that's beautiful.
And the other thing about a mastermind, and it happens in ours as well, a member may come in and go, hey, I've got a problem here. Hey, group, how can you help me? That's really the essence of a mastermind. We've taken it to the next level. Powerful. You got a guy that said, yeah, this happened to me 12 times. Here's how I solved the problem. Again, don't recreate the wheel. Just go do this. And the guy did. He goes, solve my problem. I just made $100,000 because of that. I'm like, holy mackerel. That is so cool.
That is. And that's the power of experience right there.
Think and Grow Rich audience. That book changed my life when I read chapter 4, Law of Increase. That led to meeting you and the servant heart and everything. But he talks about masterminding with, Dale Carnegie, Henry Ford, the top business people in the world. Here's a lowly, I think I forget what he was, but he was like all of us. He was way below them, but he got to mastermind and listen to what they're doing, how they became successful. He just took those, wrote a book, and I think it's one of the highest bought books ever.
Yep, it's sitting behind me on my shelf. I'm lagging behind. I haven't actually read it yet, but it's there. It's on the list.
Good. No, you got a lot of books there. So and just on a side note that might help you and others, they just came out last year with The Positive Side of the Street, which is they found all his old tapes of lectures he did. Unbelievable lessons in there. And literally it just took the excerpts he spoke at a group, and it talks about what he answered questions. Game Change. It's a smaller book too, so it's easier to read.
Oh wow! And that was called what again? The other side.
I believe
of the street?
The Positive Side of the Street.
Positive Side of the Street. Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you. Yeah, you can. Because I'm reading it right now. I'm like, oh my god, I'm blown away. I don't think I can find it right now. But if you do Napoleon Hill, Positive Side of the Street, they will find it. See, this is a true live show, or a recorded show, but I truly love it. It's called The Positive Side of the Street by Napoleon Hill.
All right. I've written it down.
Beautiful.
Yeah. See there you go. Value exchange right there in real time.
Yeah. I love it.
Well, Steve, this has been an incredible conversation. I'm so grateful that you had the chance to come on. And where can people find you? Where can they connect with you and just get deeper into your world and maybe get into this mastermind?
Steve Ramona on SteveRamona, like Ramona the Pest. I always like to say that. That's my last name, not my first name. Just find me on LinkedIn or my digital business card, which is infone.co/SR1 or inphone.co/SR1.
Perfect. Well, there you go, folks. If Steve has inspired you to connect with him, to be a guest on the show, to have more information, to get inside of that mastermind, links are going to be below. Click there, check him out, link up with him on LinkedIn. And again, Steve, just thank you so much for your time today. It was a real pleasure.
God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing, Brian.
Absolutely. All righty, folks, there you go. Share the show with your friends, anybody that needs to see it. Like the show. And as always, take care, and I will see you in the next one.